Broadland District Council, full council meeting. Please be aware that this has been live recorded. And in addition to this, one domestic note, I must give you the fire notice this evening. Would you please note that we have fire doors here, and in the event of emergency, you should leave the room by the double doors in which you came in, or the fire door situated to immediately to our left. Under no circumstances should you take a lift, because clearly there are inherent dangers there. Once you've left the premises, we do meet on the left-hand side of the entrance and at Thorpe Lodge. Hopefully there will be no problems of that nature, but please take note of what has been said. I must draw your attention now to the passing of one of our former councillors, the independent councillor George Debbage. I'm sure you will, or many of you will remember him as an independent councillor. He was first elected in 1991 for the South Walsham ward, which later became Bluefield and South Walsham. He served on many committees of the council, and indeed was chairman of the council from 1997 to 2000. He will obviously be greatly missed, and it is very, I think, important that we should remember the contribution which he made to the conduct of the council. So clearly, may I ask you to stand for a minute's silence in tribute to George Deppage. Thank you for that. Please be seated. Right, turning to our agenda, item number 1. Declarations of interest. Anybody got any interest to? Yes. Yes, Karen.
Declare an interest in item 13, the adoption of Tavern Neighbourhood Plan, as I'm the chair of Tavern Parish Council.
Thank you. Anybody else? Oh yeah, Councillor Adams, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, same declaration. I'm one of the ward members for Tavern. It's a personal but non-pecuniary interest. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. And Councillor Vincent, please. I think you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest under item 14, being the adoption of the Spigsworth Neighbourhood Plan, as my company was behind supporting the parish council in the production of that neighbourhood plan. So as it's a pecuniary interest, when that item comes before council, I will leave the room.
Thank you, Leader.
Chairman,
Yes.
me next to you.
Yes.
Just as we've got the member allowances scheme on the agenda tonight as monitoring officer, I just need to confirm that I've granted dispensation to all members of the council to enable discussion and voting on that item this evening.
All right. Thank you very much. Item number 2, apologies for absence. Officer Matthews, you've got some?
Thank you, Chairman. I received apologies from the following councillors: Pullman, Catchpole, Fisher, Grattan, Hempsall, Holland, King, Mackey, Murrell, Neeson, Roper, Snowling and Kay Vincent.
Thank you very much. Any others which have not been notified? Anybody? No.
Do you want me to get this going? Are you happy with that?
I'm happy with it. Yeah. Okay, item number 3, minutes of the meeting held on the 27th. Beg your pardon.
27th July.
Yeah, 27th of July. Yeah, today. Yeah. Right, where do we go from here then? That one, yeah. Okay. 27th of May. Yeah, sorry about that. Should be the 27th of May. Right. Item number 3 is to consider the minutes of the meeting held on the 27th of May. Can I take those to be a true reflection of that meeting? Councillor Harpley, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I did actually email about this, but it bounced back. I think there's a problem with my email. But during that meeting, I actually tried to amend Councillor Mancini-Boyle's motion, and that was missing from the minutes that I was sent out. The whole thing that we voted on just wasn't there.
Well, I think as far as that was concerned, having looked at the minutes, there seemed to be quite a comprehensive record of the concerns which were expressed at that time. And I think clearly if we record everything which is said there, that does give us extremely long minutes. And I think clearly what was said there was adequately reflected. Does anybody disagree with that? Yes.
Yes, Chair, I disagree with that. If there's a duly proposed and seconded motion, it should be in the minutes, whether it's a passed or defeated or not. And I would support member across there that it should be in the minutes.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes, Chair. I think that a vote did actually take place, and I think you need to recall that. This is just a matter of accuracy, and it's fairly straightforward, I would have thought, Chair.
Emma, would you want to comment on that?
Thank you, Chairman. What's been done with the minutes, as the Chairman has outlined, is a summary of the conversation. There was a lengthy conversation with that. If members are minded, we will record that motion and record the vote to show that motion in the minutes, and we will update those accordingly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Item 4, matters arising from that was not covered by tonight's agenda.
Chairman, do you just need to accept the minutes subject to his?
Yeah. Yes, I just reminded, as far as those minutes are concerned, on the comments which have been made, do we accept them following those observations? Yeah, show of hands. Thank you very much. That's done. Item 4 gives us to matters arising which are not covered by this agenda. Can't see any. No, thank you very much. Moving on, we come to item number 5 to receive announcements from myself. I would like to just comment that I attended a ceremony at ACOL, which refers to the former Herondale Residential Care Centre, and which is now being developed as properties for up to 55 people, 58 people, aged over 55 as appropriate. This is to provide housing or properties for occupation for people who have some health or disability problems, but wish to continue to conduct a life as far as they possibly can. There is some help will be help available once they are completed, and it's an excellent development from Saffron Housing, and clearly 41 of these properties will be affordable rent 10 years, and 17 will be shared ownership. And I think it's a very welcome development, and we have been, or have been invited, as have cabinet members and anybody else, to look at the progress of this development, which is coming along extremely well. The main contractors are RG Carter, and they are very keen on this and to progress it, and are very happy to answer any questions that people have, and also to meet interested parties on this. I'll move on now to we haven't got the Vice Chairman here tonight, to the leader if he has any comments.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to bring to Council's attention the superb news that Council has received the Gold Award for the Armed Covenant Employees Recognition Scheme. This is the highest accolade that can be granted to an organisation in the support of military community. So it's something that we as a council should receive as a good accolade, but also it just reinforces the superb work that the team is doing in this particular field. So I'd just like to bring that to Council's attention, and for that to be recorded in the minutes, and to thank the team for the work that they've done around that. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Leader. Members of the Cabinet. Yes, start here, Judy.
Thank you, Chairman. May I just take this opportunity to remind all members that they are invited to an all-member briefing on the waste procurement contract. This is to be held on Tuesday, the 27th of July, 5 to 6 by Zoom. You've all had an invite and it should be in your diary. I'd like to encourage as many members as possible to attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Coffey.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to let the Council know that our Food Innovation Centre project is moving on, and our building contractors start on site next Monday, the 26th. Thank you.
Yes. Councillor Waymark.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to make people aware that, very loud, the youth mental health workers are now on working for us on behalf, well, from the YMCA. That's from the 1st of July. So you can refer through the Help Hub. And also we have employed community connectors who will be working here in Broadland ongoing. So just good news there. So we've got some more people out there supporting our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Hemphill?
Yeah, I would just like to thank all members and officers that attended the all-member briefing last night on the accommodation review. Just to remind members that didn't attend, that will be again next Wednesday. If people want to listen into that, that would be good. That will be on Zoom. And I'd also like to thank Debbie Lorimer for chairing the meeting so well and organising all the questions. Thank you.
Councillor Lawn, anything? No?
No, thank you, Chair. I'll cover all my points through the agenda.
Right, okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 6, question to public.
Chairman, can I just...
beg your pardon, Head of Paid Service.
Chairman, thank you. If I could just remind councillors that we're pleased to welcome our new Assistant Director on the 28th of July. Corinne Laurie will be joining us as the Assistant Director of Transformation. I know you'll be keen to get to know her. You'll notice her because she will bring the average age of the senior team down by about 20 years. But when she joins us, I know you'll give her a warm Broadland welcome. But she starts with us on the 28th of July. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman, for that. Right. Item number 6, questions from the public. I understand we have none. Correct, right. Item number 7, public speaking. Again, we have none. Item number 8, overview and scrutiny committee. I ask Councillor Steve Riley to cover that item, please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, minutes to be taken as read, Chair. All matters resolved, albeit that 15th of June and 29th of June, of course, are draft minutes. So just to bear that in mind and are subject to change. So I so move, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Item number 9, Cabinet Leader, could I ask you to present those items? And I did have a request from one senior member here in 8 terms, including myself. Could you quote the page number when you're referring to particular items?
Thank you, Chairman, certainly. Okay, so you have before you, and I ask Council to receive the minutes of 2 Cabinet meetings, one of the 15th of June and one of the 6th of July. The minutes are at page 53. Within those minutes, there's a number of items that we need to ask Council to take forward. The first one of those relates to the minutes or the section 9.1 of the minutes on the 15th of June, minute number 9, which relates to the Q4 strategic performance and finance. This is at page 60. And I would ask that the sorry, I've got to get to page 60 now. So I would recommend to Council the 2 recommendations there, which are to agree the slippage requests for both revenue and capital, and to agree the creation of a new earmarked reserved for environmental projects.
Right. Have you a seconder for that? And that would be, yeah, Councillor Kelly, yes. Do you wish to speak, Mr. Kelly?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Right, thank you. That has been proposed and seconded. Any comments? Go to a vote, and all those in favour, please show your hands. think that's pretty conclusive. Yes, thank you very much. That's approved.
Okay, thank you,
Next one.
Chairman. That moves us on to item 9.2, which is minute 19 of the 6th of July, the Greater Norwich Local Plan. And I'd ask the portfolio holder for planning to put that one to council, please.
Thank you, Chair. If I can just explain to the council before we go to the recommendation on page 69, the Assistant Director of Planning informed Cabinet that the report set out the main issues raised through the Regulation 19 consultation stage of plan making for the Greater Norwich Local Plan, which had taken place over the 1st of February to the 22nd of March 2021, and sought comment on the soundness and legal compliance of the plan. It was confirmed that the statement of common ground relating to habitat protection would be updated under the auspices of the Norfolk Strategic Planning Framework. The identification of gypsy and traveller sites would be undertaken by all three Greater Norwich local authorities, and Norfolk County Council would need to identify sites before the examination took place. And members are advised that the Norwich City would bring 21 pictures forward shortly. And the recommendations are on page 69 of the agenda. 1, to agree the Greater Norwich Local Plan is sound and to submit the plan to the Secretary of State for independent examination, subject to reaching an agreement in principle with Natural England in the form of a signed statement of common ground in relation to mitigation necessary to protect sites protected under the habitat regulations. 2, commit to proactively identifying and bring forward sufficient gypsy and traveller sites to meet identified needs in accordance with the criteria-based policies of the current and emerging development plans. And 3, agree to request that the appointed independent inspector make any main modifications necessary to make the plan sound and legally compliant. And 4, delegate authority to the Assistant Director of Planning in consultation with the portfolio holder for planning and in conjunction with Norwich City and South Norfolk councils to A, agree minor modifications to the Greater Norwich local plan prior to its submission, and B, negotiate any main modifications necessary to make the Greater Norwich local plan sound as part of the independent examination. Thank you, Chair. Apologies, it's so long.
Right, and have you a seconder for that?
Yes, I'm pleased to second that. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments, please? Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I think we're a bit concerned some of this, what's going on, Chair. It's all well and good and all the rest of it, but if we look on the page 70 on the number 4, it says delegate authority to the Assistant Director of Planning in consultation with the portfolio holder. And then it goes on to say, agree minor modifications to the GNLP prior to the submission. Fine, minor modifications. But then B, it says, negotiate any main modifications necessary to make the GNLP sound as part of the independent examinations. So what we're doing is actually saying all the main modifications are going to be delegated to the officer, albeit in consultation with the portfolio holder. Could I ask the leader of the council, is this another example of abdicating responsibility by the majority group to the officers?
Councillor Bishop, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chairman. I think the councillor probably needs to just read the recommendation a little more closely. The delegation is to the Assistant Director with the portfolio holder, but the two items are A, to agree the minor modifications, and B, to negotiate, not to agree. So it's to negotiate. So those modifications, if there are modifications required of the plan, will then come back through due process.
Thank you, Chair. I guess that would be the answer, because what we're getting time and time again is the application of responsibility of major issues to officers, and they are actually advocating responsibility to officers, and this is becoming an officer-led authority. And if you want, I can go through the issue time and time again.
I think, Councillor Beale, I think that situation has been adequately explained to you, and it's not a situation as you describe. I think, are there any further questions, please? Yes, please. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Chair. I think councillors may have read the minutes to the ONS meeting. There's quite a debate around the Greater Norwich local plan there. The minutes have gone through. There was 5 in favour, 3 abstentions, 2 against that. The primary issue that I've got with this is that I do not believe the plan to be sound, and that's the premise that's being put back on, because under Regulation 19, no consultation took place on additional sites, and there's an accelerated timetable for this. And on that basis, I think there's a risk to this council. I think there's a risk to this council moving forward in terms of the inspectorate around this. And we could well be in a situation where possibly there's direction to go all the way back for another consultation, re-18, causing further time delays. So on that basis, Chair, I will be voting against it.
Councillor Beale, Councillor Vincent, any comment?
I don't think there needs to be any further comment at this point. The local plan has been through place shaping and was seriously kicked around, as I understand it. It's been through cabinet, and we went through it at great length there. As the chair of ONS has pointed out, it went through ONS, and again, it was kicked around, and there was a lot of debate around it. So I think all of the issues have been worked through and fully understood. I think his point around risk is there is risk as anything as it comes forward while the government is changing some of the outline guidelines and rules, but we're working within what we know at this point in time, and therefore it is sound for it to go forward as it sits at this point. So hence the reason it's before council to do that.
Thank you. I think we can now proceed to the vote. It has been proposed and seconded. All those in favour, please?
Sorry.
No. And those against, please? Thank you, Officer Matthews. Thank you very much. 7. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on then to the next item of the minutes from the 6th of July. It's minute number 20, the capital budget, which is at page 70, and I'd ask the finance portfolio holder to present this item.
Thank you, Chairman. It's become quite clear now during the procurement process that the council will be needing to fund the refuse vehicles to be the most cost-effective solution. It is therefore, with pleasure, I'd like to recommend to council that the capital budget for refuse services be increased from 3 million to 5.7 million, and to note that this is the top end of the budget that may be required. Thank you.
Do you have a seconder?
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to second that motion.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments? It's been proposed and seconded. All those in favour, please? Right. Any against? No, unanimous on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Moving on then to the last item from the Cabinet of the 6th of July, minute number 23 at page 74, moving towards a first-class customer service. And I would just like to ask the portfolio holder for transformation, and I always forget the second bit, and I can't read it from here either, so that's not helping either. So I would like him who knows who he is to present that one, please. Sorry, Councillor Ensel.
Thank you. Yeah, we're on page, the report starts at page 72, but obviously the recommendations are on page 74. At Broadland, we offer excellent customer service to our residents. We should always be looking to improve our service, though, with the opportunity to use increased business intelligence to enhance how we support residents with a stronger strategy and charter for our customers, the residents of Broadland. We've been doing a lot of work with workshops to see how we can change things, and I think the work that's been done is very good. If I can draw your attention to the top of page 74, it was resolved at Cabinet to adopt the customer strategy, to adopt the customer charter, and to note the appointment of a new customer experience insight lead who will be able to work with the business intelligence data to further increase our customer services. What we are looking to do is recommend to Council the adoption of the proposed complaints handling policy, which is at page 82, and the adoption of the proposed unreasonably persistent complaints policy, which is at page 86. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Do you have a seconder?
Yes, I'll second that, Chair.
Right, okay. Nigel, thank you very much. Anybody, any comments, please? Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. I looked through this, and the principle of it is without doubt sound, and I'm pleased to hear that our customers are being put at the heart of what we do as an authority. But I think it is basically a little bit weak on substance, if I'm honest. It's strong on words, but weak on substance. In a sense, there is a lot of motherhood and apple pie. There is a lot of procedural stuff, but I've looked through it, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if it'll be great pleasure if somebody can correct me. But I see a lack of performance indicators, a lack of actually being able to monitor performance of customer care, and if there is, where does it go, and how does it go, and when does it go? As I say, I will totally accept if I've missed this, but I can't see it. And I just think it's strong on bureaucracy, but a little bit weak on content, a little bit weak in so much as there's some fine words, there's definitely some fine words, but I am concerned that how this is going to be monitored, who will be monitoring it, and the transparency of the monitoring. And I think this is something which I would ask the portfolio holder if he'd be kind enough to look into this and to maybe add the necessary where appropriate. Thank you, Chairman.
If I can come back,
comment.
Thank you, Councillor Clancy, for your comments. It was interesting that at service improvement and efficiency, when the papers were discussed there, the same question was asked by another member. So yeah, that is something which we are aware of. The member asked the same sort of question about the performance monitoring. The performance monitoring has got the separate performance monitoring process that we are following as well. We are looking for our customer experience insight lead to be able to monitor the information that we have, and then obviously produce better results for us to actually enhance our performance. So there is that feeling that at the moment we're not fully using as much of the data as we can. So there is work to be done. I'm not saying that we don't offer excellent customer service. We don't have that many complaints, and I don't think we'll have that many complaints going forward. It's just how we can use the data to monitor what is going on. And there will be obviously targets put in place to keep an eye on how we are working.
Councillor Clancy.
Chairman, could I just come back on that? I was pleased to hear that from the portfolio holder, but I would just ask that it be minuted that, you know, there is a mechanism put in place for appropriate PIs in terms of customer experience, customer complaints and compliments, because the customer experience is all about complaints and compliments. But, you know, I think it's very important that this is extremely transparent. And I was heartened to hear the portfolio holder recognise this, and he'll be doing something to actually achieve this. But I would like it minuted to ensure this happens, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Vincent, I think you'd like the word.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, it's just to give Councillor Clancy some reassurance that that the point he's making has been taken on board. If you remember, within the strategic performance reporting that's received at Q2 and Q4, this particular measure is in there. Through last year, it was under the title of being baselined. We expect this year, as this is now moving forward and we have the charter in place, to be able to now start seeing some outcomes of that. So the place for you to look for the outcomes and the measures that you're looking for would be within the strategic performance report. Councillor Clancy, hope that helps.
Councillor Thomas, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Just for my own sanity, is this KPIs all for Broadland or for both South Norfolk and Broadland?
That will be for Broadland.
All right, thank you. Yes, Councillor Riley, please.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's largely been responded to. I think that Councillor Clancy's points were absolutely valid, and it is all about, you know, the assessing and the indicators coming back from monitoring, and also some member involvement in that as well. You know, we are here for a reason as councillors, to help that in terms of residents and customer or residents, taxpayers, in terms of it. I am aware that it needed altering, because a number of us as councillors, I'm sure, have seen residents who have put complaints in. The process that was in place and the procedure was a bit squiffy, to say the least. So very much welcome the improvement. However, as long as we have got, and as Councillor Vincent said, those performance indicators coming back, we've got councillor oversight in terms of how that's progressing. Great, and look forward to seeing that being progressed in that way and monitoring it, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Waymark.
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to bring up something I brought up at Cabinet, actually. In the paper here, there are no contact details for the council. There's contact details for local government ombudsman, but nothing for our council. And that really does need to be included. Thank you.
Councillor Creaney. Councillor Creaney, please.
Thank you. I noticed on the report that a pilot customer satisfaction survey has been carried out on the old website. Can I ask the portfolio holder, will there be the same survey done on the new website? Because I'm already receiving complaints about it.
Receiving complaints about the new website?
Yes, from residents and from my own parish clerk, that there are no contact details for departments to ring.
There's a term I'm trying to think of, which is where the website is in a stage where any complaints or comments and everything, what's it called? Beta. It's in its beta stage. And so that is what we are now looking for customers to engage with us and indicate where they find the problem so that we can rectify them as quickly as possible. Obviously, with the new website, it is very important that we make it as accessible as possible.
Thank you, Councillor. So can I ask, will you be adding numbers later on, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Clancy?
Yeah. Chairman, Sue, we're actually using our customers to do the experiments with. Is that what we're doing?
No, it's a standard procedure when you have a new website, that if anybody spots any issues, they should be able to highlight that to us. We obviously had it tested for a month ourselves, but there is that opportunity for a customer who's using the website to notice something that might not have been noticed. And I'm not saying that we've had any major problems. I'm just saying that is in that stage where it can then we can have information passed to us.
But Chairman, that accepting, it is our role to get that website right from the outset. We're paying a lot of money for that, and our customers deserve better.
Chairman, can I just Thank you. The process of using website and beta is well adopted by national government. If you look at whether it's road tax or something else, there's normally a disclaimer in the top that says, this website is operating in beta. We welcome your feedback. We've simply adopted the national benchmark, and actually it's proven a really good way to get feedback because people have engaged with that process. There's been a team subscribed to look at the feedback and adopt those things that are useful to be adopted. And it's absolutely proving a really good way of shaping to best meet the needs of the customer. So I think beta is a normal way to do business, as demonstrated by national government. We are mimicking their behaviour.
Thank you. Councillor Justine Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Excuse me. Just back on Councillor Clancy's comment about KPIs at the most recent Service Efficiency and Improvement Committee. I just want to ensure that it was discussed at some length and concerns were raised, particularly from Councillor Roper and Councillor Mackie. And I haven't seen the minutes of that meeting yet, but if you would like to take a look at them, I'm sure you will find quite a lot of information in there about what was discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've had a good discussion on that matter. If we can now go to the vote. All those in favour, please show. Thank you, Walter. So that is carried. Thank you very much. Right, we now move on to item number 10, the Planning Committee to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of June, please.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, can I say what an honour it was to be back on the chair and back in the council chamber. The 3rd of June, all matters were resolved, and due to the IT mission issues on the 14th of July, that meeting is now rescheduled for the 29th of July, next Thursday. And we're looking for 2 subs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Monker. Item number 11, beg your pardon.
Thank you, Chair. There's 4 items on this agenda, and on that agenda of that meeting, and no doubt all those 4 items would have started with an initial inquiry from the customers of the council seeking, do we need planning permission? And can I say my town council has done exactly this. They have asked, do we need planning permission? And they have had a holding email back to say that before they can be told whether they need planning permission, whether they need to apply or not, it's going to be 4 to 8 weeks before they get an answer. Can I say, Chairman, and I hope we'd all agree, that this is totally acceptable to wait 8 weeks, up to 8 weeks, for an answer to say whether an applicant needs, or potential applicant needs planning consent.
Councillor Law, would you like to comment?
I haven't seen the letter, and I don't know the situation under which they applied for their planning permission or were requesting if they could get it.
Just one at a time, please.
What I said was they made an inquiry to see if they needed to make an application. Not that they made an application, they're just making an inquiry to see if they need to apply.
If I could just ask Officer Mellors, if she would be able to address that issue for me, please.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, we have delays in responding to some of the inquiries, so we are keeping our customers informed of that delay due to high work volumes and our experience of the project. We do envision that we will catch up and get back to people as soon as possible.
So we will address the issue as soon as we possibly can.
All right, thank you. Are you happy with that, Councillor Beadle?
Is a potential time schedule to as soon as possible?
If I could just come back, Chair. If I could ask that whenever something like this does occur, if you could just bring it to our attention, and then we can then address the matter, but you've just brought this to me now, and I'm really sorry I wasn't aware of that situation. Apologies. I will go on to further detail further in the agenda as to the situation that we are in planning at the moment, but in relation to your actual council and the process that they're going through, I haven't got any information in relation to that. Sorry.
Right. So thank you for that explanation. So I think we are aware that there are problems as far as planning is concerned at the moment, and I'm sure they will be resolved as soon as conceivably possible. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. It's just a question and a thought that occurred to me. At our meetings last year, we delayed the implementation of charging for advice to members of the public and businesses. It was apparently delayed until April this year, and I'm not aware that we have implemented that. Is there a further delay that has been agreed, or was it implemented as a matter of course? Just a thought. Thanks.
I'm sorry, Chair. I thought that we were discussing the planning minutes. I didn't realise that we were having a question and answer situation.
Yes, we'll stick to the subject which we're on at the moment, but clearly that's a matter for another time. Thank you. So we are, just to cut the long story short, we are accepting the minutes of the planning committee at this stage, which Councillor Monica has mentioned. Thank you. Item 11 is the Audit Committee to receive the minutes, the meeting held on the 24th of June. Councillor Nerden, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to present the minutes of the Audit Committee held on the 24th of June. At that meeting, we approved the internal and the external audit plan for the 21-22 year. We also looked at the annual governance statement for 2021 year, and that was approved. The other item of significance is that we reviewed the contract procedure rules and agreed the wording changes which represent current best practice, but the committee was unanimous in not changing the authority levels, as there was no convincing argument for or evidence of a need to change them. So it is recommended to Council at minute number 7 on page 98, the amended contract procedure rules subject to the retention of the current contract award levels. So thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that?
I'll second that, Chairman.
Good. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Matsini-Boyle.
Thank you. I obviously accept the recommendation of the Audit Committee. However, I would encourage officers to bring that paper round again at a future date, supplying more information to the members and explaining the rationale behind the ask. And then I look forward to seeing that paper again with a bit more detail in it.
Thank you. So do we now proceed with Councillor Nerden's proposal? Yes. And we have a seconder? Yeah. Yes, Councillor. Right, fine. All those in favour of Councillor Nerden's proposal? Thank you very much. Right, we're now going to item 12, Licensing and Regulation Committee to receive the minutes of the meeting held on the 23rd of June. I think Councillor Justine Thomas, you're going to take this one?
Thank you, Chair. I can confirm all matters were resolved, including the licensing of a Tesla Model 3 for the first time as a private hire vehicle. which is jolly
Oh.
exciting. I'm sure we'll all.
Indeed it is, yes. Thank you. And we move on to item number 13, the adoption of the Tavern Neighbourhood Plan. And who's going to take this one? Right.
Okay.
Councillor
Thank you,
Lawn,
Chair.
please.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, and the adoption of Tavern Neighbourhood Plan is on page 102. And if I could, before I go to the recommendation, if I could just remind the council of points 7.1 and 7.2. The appropriate legislation within the Neighbourhood Planning Act 2017 states that at the point of a successful outcome being declared, following a referendum, the neighbourhood plan in question immediately forms part of the statutory development plan. The adoption or making of the plan is therefore the last formal stage in this process. Unless the council considers that the plan would breach or would otherwise be incompatible with the EU obligations or any of the convention rights within the meaning of the Human Rights Act 1998, then it cannot refuse to adopt the neighbourhood plan as detailed in section 5 of this report. It is not considered that the plan is in breach of the legislation, so I would recommend to council to adopt the Tavern Neighbourhood Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder? Oh,
I would like to second it.
right. Okay, Councillor Kelly, thank you very much. All those in favour, please? Show of hands. Unanimous? Not unanimous. Thank you. Item number 14,
If we can
adoption
just-
of Spixworth. Yes, Councillor Vincent will leave the room for this one.
Okay, and
Right.
again, the recommendation is on page 112. And again, I would repeat 7.1 and 7.2 as before. And that is 8.1, the council is recommended to adopt the Spixworth Neighbourhood Plan. Thank you.
Do you have a seconder? Oh,
Yes, I'll second that, Chair. Thank you.
yes. Thank you, Councillor Coulson. Any comments?
Yes, Chair. I haven't got a microphone, and I'm one of the old school. When I first became a councillor, we had stand up to speak, so I don't mind standing up. Both these neighbourhood plans, good scheme, support them, but don't they take a long time? Don't they take a long time? And I think, Chair, we ought to be looking at trying to make much more efficient on these matters. If you take the Spixworth one, it started in October 2017. And when the plan was approved, not when it went to the referendum, when it was approved, was the 19th of the 5th, 20. So it's actually, that's about 3 years. Now, this is too long. It's too long for to go through this process. And we ought to be trying to get this process, albeit difficult, more streamlined. Not easy, I gather it's not easy, but we ought to try and get it more streamlined. And because it causes a lot of stress and potentially loses parishes money as well as influence in the planning process. And now, obviously with COVID, the referendum can take later as well. Well, that comes after the approval. I don't see why the approval should have been delayed by COVID. And the first one, COVID, was hardly a factor at all in the process until the referendum came up. So we do need to make it much more streamlined, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. But I do think we do need to take into account, you've already mentioned COVID and the detailed procedure which has to be gone through, and it does take time, but clearly perhaps Councillor Lawn would like to comment on that.
Yes, Chairman, thank you. I think on page 103 and 2.4 explains that it has taken, unfortunately, up until the 6th of May 2021 to take this out for the vote. So it might have been maybe a year sooner if it hadn't been for the fact that COVID was in place.
Sorry, Chair, the timetable. Mario, what's in the report?
Yes.
Can I just remind members to indicate when to speak and follow common courtesy when other members are speaking in the room, please? I think that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes, please. Okay. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Chairman, I can support the portfolio holder in relation to the Tavern neighbourhood plan. That was, again, the other Tavern councillors would concur with me on that. That was actually delayed by COVID. You know, Councillor Beale is quite right. We do need to speed these things up, but effectively in Tavern we lost a year because of COVID. So yeah, that is the actual situation.
Right. Thank you. Well, do we have a second to this one? I've got lost track on it. Yes, we do. Councillor Copperstone. Yeah. But all those in favour of the fixed approval? Thank you very much, Officer Matthews. Thank you. We can recall the leader. Right, that moves. We can now move on to item number 15, Monitoring Officer's report, to consider the report on the Monitoring Officer. Over to you, Councillor Vincent.
Thank you, Chairman. So the Monitoring Officer report is before you at page 121. And has three recommendations before you. But before I go into those recommendations, I'd just like to pick up a separate matter and add that to that list. Now he's found it. A number of you may be aware that Councillor Snowling has not been particularly well and has recently come out of hospital. And as a result of his illness, he's not being able to attend the council meetings that we've had, either virtually or in person, as we are now doing. So I'd like to invoke the suspension of the 6-month rule for Councillor Snowling in relation to Section 85, Part 1 of the Local Government Act 1972. And if anyone wants me to read it out, I'm prepared to, but I'll pause there. As I said, Mr. Snowling, or Councillor Snowling, has been suffering with ill health and at the moment will be unable to attend council meetings for some time. However, I wish him well in his recovery, and you'll be pleased, I spoke to him this afternoon, and while he's not in a great place, he's better than where he was in his recovery, and hopefully that will now progress as we move forward, and we will see that his recovery is a full one, but sadly it's going to take a little bit of time, so we need to support him through that. So I would ask council to give him that dispensation as part of what I'm now going to do with the Monitoring Officer report, as I'm looking for that. So I would like to add that to the recommendations, and I've put it in first just so that it gives council the opportunity to think about that. Picking up the recommendations then that are in the report, the first one of those is to appoint Councillor Prutton as the Vice Chairman of the Appeals Committee. The second one is to update the staff code of conduct, and the third one, 6.3, is just to enable the monitoring officer to make the necessary changes to the constitution as a result of those things. So they're the three recommendations plus the additional one that I would ask you to consider tonight. I put those to council.
Do I have a seconder, please? Yes, Councillor Ansell. Yeah. Yes, Councillor Riley.
Yes, Chair. I'm just trying to. I think what the leader is saying is that he should just verbally put forward the dispensation. Am I correct now? I'm just scrambling around the written now. So it's not in writing at the moment here, Sean. Okay. Could you just add some clarification on, support this, by the way, but I just think in terms of the regs around the 6-month position, so perhaps a comment from Emma on this, on the monitoring officer, on the 6 months position. Would there be a monthly period, I know 3 months or in 6 months' time, if Councillor Snowden's not returned, that it's reviewed in line with that?
Yeah, I can come in on that, Chairman. So what we normally do when we provide that dispensation is that when myself and the leader will keep that under continual review. We obviously don't know what Councillor Snowling's recovery is going to be like, so we will make sure that on a monthly basis we review that to make sure that's still relevant. And at the point when that's not needed anymore, then obviously we will remove that dispensation.
Okay, could I ask also for this consideration, just in terms, so we are in spirit of the regs, and I've known Councillor Snowden for a long time and always been a great supporter of these, and he's actually supported me quite well when I was chair of ONS as well. So I do support this. But is it possible that in a 6-month time period, we just have a minute noting that there will be information given back to us at that point in time if Councillor Snowden is not returned?
I'm happy to add that to the recommendation for Councillor Riley that we definitely, if we haven't reviewed it within 6 months, which I'd be surprised if we haven't, that we review it at least at that point in time. But I would hope that there is no need and we would see Councillor Snowling back here long before then.
Thank you, Chair.
Right.
Could I just ask also, do we need to actually vote on that, or?
Yeah. Well, we have a proposal from the leader and the seconder. All those in favour, please. Thank you very much.
And does that encompass, Chair? I'm just for clarity for the minutes. I'm also looking to the head of paid service here. Does that also include the affirmation back from the leader in terms of the review on 6 months?
Yes, effectively, I agree to amend the recommendation to include that for you. So yes, that does.
Thanks very much.
Chairman, if I might,
yes.
And further, just for clarity, members, did you take the 4 recommendations en bloc? That's your understanding? Yeah. Thank you.
Right, we go on to item number 16, which is a review of the Broadland District Council members' allowance scheme. Emma.
Thank you, Chairman. The chair of the Independent Remuneration Panel can't be with us this evening, so you get to listen to me for a while now on this. He sends his apologies. He has been tracked and traced, as seems to happen quite a lot at the moment. So I will take you through the report and then I will propose and open that for comment and debate. So as we know, just setting out at 1.2 of the report, the IRP, the Independent Remuneration Panel, is non-political and it brings expertise from several sources to there. The terms of reference for the IRP are set out at 1.3 of your report. I won't read those out for you, but they are A to F in 1.3. So a little bit of background for Council. I'm sure you will recall back in February 2020, you had the first phase of the review by the IRP. They conducted that during 2019. We had plenty of discussion through that report, and that updated your member allowances scheme at that point in time. That just specifically looked at those member allowances and we needed to finish off the rest of the review. So the IRP was convened in June of this year to revisit the member allowances, the SRAs and all other elements of that scheme. They did that over those few weeks. They received comments from the leader of the Liberal Democrat group and they had communication with the leader of the Conservative Party as well. So the panel recognised it's important that they gave due regard to the public government guidelines relating to SRAs, and they've set that out at 3.3 for you. They're the guidelines that they believe we should be following when we're setting special responsibility allowances in the council, and they were mindful of that when they undertook their review. So the panel requested also that the leader of the council provided his views in line with this guidance in relation to the SRAs, and I will come on to that later in the report. So taking you through section 4 of the report, that is the panel's conclusions and their recommendations therein. So the basic allowance at the time last year was increased to reflect the Norfolk average in a much fairer fashion, and also you are now linked to the annual pay award. So they felt that there was no need to make any change to that basic allowance, and you are still in line with the average payment across Norfolk for your basic allowance. As I touched on in terms of the special responsibility allowance, the leader was asked to look at 3 allowances and provide a response to those, which he has done at the bottom of page 136, top of 137, in relation to the SRAs paid to the chair of the Service Improvement and Efficiency Committee. It doesn't roll off the tongue, does it? And the chairs of the policy development panels, also the SRA paid to the vice chairman of the council, and also the SRA paid to the deputy leader. The panel took those points on board, and as part of their summary and their review, they also looked at the comments that were provided by Councillor Roper as leader of the Liberal Democrat group. As part of that as well, they looked at those SRAs to make sure that they were comfortable with the number of SRAs, and they did see that although there are a number of SRAs paid across the council, this is due to the system that we have set up here. They likened it to a committee system within a cabinet system. Therefore, although there seemed to be a number of more SRAs, they were comfortable with the number due to the committee structure we have here in the council. So therefore, at the top of page 138, the panel recommended on summary of what they have seen, the deputy leader should be set at 65%, and that the policy development panels should be set at 50% of the basic allowance. Taking you through their other recommendations at 4.3.1, there's a recommendation in relation to expenses claims, and that worded be added to the scheme to document that claims must be submitted within 3 months. This is already common practice with you, but this is making sure that is in place within the scheme. At 4.3.2, in terms of travel expenses, they felt it was important to look at the number of ward journeys to make sure they're proportionate per month. They recognised the move that you made in February 2020 to include this, but they felt that a restriction of 12 ward journeys was fair. At 4.3.3, the committee looked at use of motorbike and bicycle rates. I'm sure you'll all be coming on your motorbike next time, but they confirmed there that those expenses will be paid at the current HMRC rates. At 4.3.4, they looked at public transport and said there that the presumption with members is that they will travel at standard class. Members may travel by first class where this is the same cost or cheaper than the standard class travel. In terms of subsistence, at 4.3.5, the panel have recommended that you follow the rates that are set by HMRC that are set out for you on the report. Moving on to subsistence and overnight, the panel wanted the scheme to clarify that in the event of a member requiring an overnight stay where they were required to find their own accommodation, advice should be sought in advance from myself to make sure the cost is fair and reasonable. In terms of dependent and carers allowances, the panel recommended that expenses will be paid for daytime and evening meetings where that needs to be provided at the rate for national living wage for age plus 25. Attendance and offices, they wanted to confirm those approved duties include in-person meetings and events arranged by officers for pre-meetings, briefings, informal meetings, organised training, hearings or similar, and that the reimbursement of those expenses in relation to any other visits should be agreed by myself in advance. In terms of outside body, the panel noted the scheme and they wanted to clarify that a meeting of a body to which the authority makes appointments or nominations will be treated as an approved duty. So travel expenses can be paid to the appointed representative on such bodies and where these expenses are not already covered by that body. At 4.3.10, they recognise that there is travel between sites and they have added some wording in there that the allowance scheme can relate to both sites. I'm nearly there. At 4.3.11, the external training and seminars, the panel wanted to clarify that where members wish to claim expenses for attending or participating in external events which have not been arranged by officers, then again, they need to seek approval from myself beforehand. And then finally, delegation of approval. At the moment, the delegation is to the managing director. They felt that that should be to myself as monitoring officer. Chairman, that's a summary of the report that the panel have asked me to present to you. They wanted me to make sure I took you through all of their changes, which I believe I have now done, and I will pass over to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think that the leader has some comment to make here. Larkin to do what he wishes to do.
I think you need to recommend it to council first, Chairman, if that's okay.
Yes, the amendment. Yeah, we have 3 amendments which have plans report. Right. Okay. Yeah. First of all, we have the panel's report, which we recommend to council to accept. Have I got a seconder for that?
Chairman, may I add that, please?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Crotch.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to second your recommendation, but with some amendments on 3 of the sections, and it'd be 4 amendments, and I'd like to propose. I think first of all, it's important to say that it's good that the panel doesn't recommend increases per se to members' allowance given the current economic circumstances that we find ourselves in. But the changes that I'd like to look at is in 4.2 regarding SRAs and 4.2a. If we look at this, it seems strange that they are talking around county council rather than looking at district councils. And this is in respect of the deputy leader's allowance. Looking at other districts, one actually pays their deputy leader a higher SRA than most of the district council leaders receive. And I think that given the current workload of the deputy leader, that this should stay as is. So my amendment would be that the allowance remains as is at 70% of the leader's allowance. And in respect to 4.2b, again, the proposed increase of over 100% to the SRA for the panel chairs and chairman of SEAC is not supported. Now is not the time to be increasing members' allowances. To comment on their rationale regarding this, we're looking at Broadland District Council, and the allowances should relate to the activities that members perform at Broadland and not related to the higher allowance paid by South Norfolk Council. So I'd recommend an amendment to this that the allowance remains unchanged at £1,150. The next one, if I may go on to the next one all in one foul swoop, is regarding 4.3.2, which is regarding travel expenses, and regarding the new wording here that, in my understanding, this could impact negatively those members who have a large number of parish councils in their ward. And so therefore I would recommend an amendment to this to leave the wording as is, to enable a member to claim for travel to a formally constituted parish council meeting. And then finally, under 4.3.10, which talks around travel between sites, South Norfolk House is not a Broadland District Council site, but it should be noted that from time to time there may be a need to have meetings at other locations, such as Carrowbreck, maybe the Food Innovation Centre, or maybe other centres as well. If we think as well back to the May Council meeting that was held at the Octagon Barn. Section 4.3.8 details approved duties and should relate to wherever the meeting or event is organised and required. So I'd recommend the amendment to 4.3.10 actually just refers to any location organised as part of the requirements as set out in 4.3.8.
Thank you, Councillor Crotch. Do you have a seconder for that? Yes. Okay. Right. Anybody, any further comment to make on those amendments? No. We'll go to the vote then. All those in favour of the amendments proposed by Councillor Crotch? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Now go to standard motion. Yeah. We would now go to a vote on the substantive motion to accept this report, subject to the approved amendments which have just been made. All those in favour, please? That's carried. Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
Chairman, could I just take the opportunity to thank the Independent Remuneration Panel for their work and concluding part 2 of something that they started a long time ago and got interrupted by COVID. It's good that both part 1 and part 2 have now been completed, and the members' allowance scheme is now in place as it should be. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Right, we're moving on to item number 17 on the agenda, outside organisations, to consider the reports from members reporting in respect of the outside organisations to which they have been appointed. I think, any comments on what's on the agenda, what's been considered? No? Yes, Leader.
Thank you, Chairman. Again, I would just like to thank Councillor Copperstone for her report, which voices the other members also who are on the Broad Internal Drainage Board, and also thank Councillor Leggett, Councillor Jay Leggett, for her report on the Norfolk Waste Partnership and their meeting on the 20th of May.
Right, thank you very much. Item number 18, questions from members, of which we have 3. First one from Councillor Karini Gabaloo, please. Would you like to read your question?
Thank you, Chair. It has been brought to Council's attention that the current backlog on planning applications is in the region of 230 for Broadland and over 100 for South Norfolk. With 2 senior planners resigning recently, individual caseloads increasing by a third from 30 to 50 plus, and officers having to work on 2 different planning systems, what is the Council doing to rectify this backlog and to retain the remaining experienced staff that we have?
Right.
I'm happy to
Councillor
reply.
Lawn, please, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you, Chair. May I first thank Councillor Karima Gubanlu for asking the question. I'm pleased to have been given this opportunity to address the Council and clear up any misinformation which might be out there. Firstly, I would like to confirm that we have not got a backlog of 330 applications between the 2 councils. I'm not quite sure whether that information was brought to the Council's attention, but I can confirm of yesterday, the 21st of July, there was a backlog of 110 applications for Broadland District Council and 102 applications for South Norfolk District Council, a total of 212 applications in the backlog system. The focus of the admin support team this week has been on Broadland District Council's applications due to the impact on the admin team whilst the IT system was down last week. Please note the admin team are processing the backlogs alongside dealing with higher capacity of applications being submitted. We have seen the capacity increase by 300 plus applications between both councils so far this year in comparison to the capacity of 2019. The admin team support did have a number of vacancies. These have now been filled. An additional 6-month post is in place to help the backlogs. The staff that left were experienced, and it's taking time to train the new officers. Some officers have been doing overtime, and it does take longer to work across 2 IT systems, and the team are now coming into the office to do training, etc. The planning officer team has also been carrying a few vacancies, and we currently have adverts out for 3 principal planning officers and a planning officer. We will also have an advert for 2 postgrad apprenticeship roles, plus a compliance apprenticeship role for the enforcement team. A new heritage officer starts next week, and we have 2 agency consultants working for us at present. Workloads have increased. They are at the highest they've been for a number of years. This is a national issue, and other local authorities in Norfolk are also struggling to recruit and have backlogs. The caseload for officers are being managed weekly and will vary between different levels of officer, but at present all are at acceptable levels. It's been more challenging for the team working from home, and some tasks are taking longer. Officers are still working on 2 systems, but this is not the reason for the backlog or the pressure they are under. We've been through 2 national lockdowns, and we've seen ourselves working in exceptional circumstances again at this present time. We have an IT system which took some time to get everyone up and running to work from home. And most importantly, and I will repeat myself again, the capacity has increased to higher figures than 2019. So we have promoted in-house, we have adverts out presently, and we are lowering the backlog figures whilst dealing with the new applications coming in daily. I don't deny that the planning officers are under pressure, but the pressure they're under now is circumstantial and will not be a permanent pressure. Once the new staff have been recruited and fully trained on the systems, hopefully the pressure will be eased. And I can assure you that we are taking measures to ease the pressures for our team. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone for all the hard work over the past 18 months. Happy to take any further questions, Chair.
Councillor Corrine.
Thank you, Councillor Lawn, for your reply. It's still 212 backlog for both councils. Do you have an estimate on when this is going to be cleared? Will it be by the end of this year?
Well, we have, it has been reduced quite a lot in the last few weeks even. If you can just bear with me. In the 9th of July 2021, we had, let me just get my figures. We had 238 in total between the two councils. So it is coming slowly, and we will do everything that we can to reduce it. And again, as you can appreciate, the IT system going down last week is not the reason for our backlog, but it didn't help with the process that we're going through at the moment.
Right, Councillor Corrin, you have question number 2.
Yes, thank you, Chair. With reference to the government's proposals to reform the planning system, does the leader agree with the motion passed in the House of Commons last month to protect the rights of communities to object to individual planning applications in their area?
Thank you, and thank you for your question. I'd just like to pick up really and just emphasise the fact that this council's view on local representation and participation is well documented and pushed forward as something that we wish to see and continue to see. I'd just like to bring you to your attention that the new National Planning Policy Framework, the NPPF, was published yesterday. And in paragraph 40, it sets out that local planning authorities should also, where they think this would be beneficial, encourage any applicants who are not already required to do so by law to engage the local community. So that sits in the NPPF that was brought forward yesterday. The white paper itself that you're referring to, we're still awaiting the outcome of that. So we're not and cannot confirm what the public engagement requirements will be moving forward. What I'd like to do is link back to, rather than motions that don't seem to have any actions and perhaps could be seen as a bit of grandstanding, just highlight the actions that this council is taking in relation to promoting local engagement and local involvement. So as a council, we responded to the consultation in great length, and you'll probably remember that consultation and those responses were discussed at length at the place shaping panel and formulated. They were then brought forward to the cabinet and also went through there before they were effectively submitted on behalf of Broadland Council. Within those responses, there was specific questions that related to what we would say around community engagement, and where we took the opportunity to highlight those. Specifically question 3, and in our response to question 3, which related to making access to plans easier, we asked that it should be noted that whilst improved online access is crucial, it is essential that non-electronic means of engagement are available for those who do not have access to IT. We also took further opportunity to push this further at question 5, where it talked about simplifying the process, which we agreed to the simplifying of the process and felt that it should be, but we also clearly stated that this should not be at the expense of democratic engagement. Question 10, again, was targeted at about proposals that make decision-making faster. And here in this particular element, we said that the potential lack of public engagement at the application stage is also seen as a concern. At question 11, again, it was talked about digitising the process. And again, we said here that, yes, we agree with the move towards digitising the process, but we also asked that there will still need to be consideration given to other platforms, as not all members of the public have access to IT. So you can clearly see there that we've gone back on the consultation for the white paper in the appropriate way and responded to those things. As I've already said, the outcomes of the white paper are not yet available, so we can't confirm yet the way forward. But I do feel that our responses to the consultation firmly sets out our view that this council firmly believes in local involvement and local participation in the planning process, which inevitably makes the outcomes of planning so much better. Thank you.
Councillor Crean, does that satisfy you?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we have a third question from Councillor Steve Riley.
Yes, thanks, Chair. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that the report was sent out a day or two after I sent the question in. Is that correct? Yes. So subsequently, I'm glad to see that my question prompted the report going out. So I'm very happy, therefore I won't put my question.
Right. Thank you very much. Glad you're happy. Right. We move on to item number 19, which is motions to consider any motions which have been submitted. I'm pleased to say there are none. That being the final item on tonight's agenda, I declare the meeting closed at 8:30 p.m. Thank you. Journey home.